Well, that was unexpected.
Today we're reviewing the Savage A17. I have Carl with me. He is both cantankerous and disagreeable about all my opinions.
I am not.
Case in point, so you should be in for a treat. We're going to review all of my guns from smallest to largest caliber, so if you are interested in checking all that out, feel free to subscribe to the channel. This is a super fun gun to shoot.
It is. It's so much fun.
And we have a 4 to 12x zoom scope. It's a Hawk, and it's actually specific to the bullet, right? So if you want to aim 150 yards out, you just put it on the 150 yard line, and you're good to go for the most part.
Well, specific to the range, not the bullet.
No, it's specific. Well, okay, but it's actually specific to the bullet. So these are A17s, which are made specifically for this, and the reason is because this is the only in production semi-automatic A17.
Yep.
And so these have a little bit more strength to them than the other 17 HMR bullets, and this one specifically has a muzzle velocity of 2722, 2675, 2698, 2692, 2591, 2677. These bullets here are just a neck down 22 Magnum, and there's a special like a slot that's like above the action here, and that connects to the bolt, and so it delays the release of the bolt so that it's able to neither foul nor just go crazy, and like it basically deals with the spring issue. That actually allows it to be semi-automatic, and it's patented by Savage, so they're the only ones that I know of who are making a semi-automatic 17 HMR. But the really cool things about this is we have the scope, we have a bipod just so that we can shoot it pretty, steadily, and this is actually a bull barrel on here, and I have not seen any reviews on YouTube with one with a bull barrel on it, so I ordered it special. I get special guns. I special order like every gun I own.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of it is you're a lefty.
I am a lefty, which is the reason I got a semi-automatic.
Politically, by the way, not by hand. So.
Just gonna leave that one alone.
Right.
So anyway, the reason I got the semi-automatic though was because of the fact that the bolt actions are all coming in right-handed bolt actions.
Right.
And I didn't want to like search high and low to find a bolt action, so I went with the semi-automatic. It's just a simpler solution.
Right, and semi-automatics are just fun to shoot.
So the first 3 shots I took, right, I was like pretty dead on the bullseye.
Oh yeah.
And then I just got lazy because it's a semi-automatic, and I'm like, right? And it's just like hitting low and like not, because you have just the freedom to kind of pull the trigger when you want to, and it doesn't.
You don't have that pause in between shots that you would normally, cycle and then have to reset.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, it's just it starts to feel a little bit like a 22.
It's a lot like a 22,
right?
In that sense, and we're going to talk about that in a second. So this is the magazine for it. It's very, very similar to the Ruger 1022 magazine.
Absolutely.
It's a cylinder magazine. It just goes around, and you cycle them around. You just push them in one at a time, and then it takes 10. So it's in. You just pull the little tab, and it comes right out. I think it's easier to take out than the 1022 magazines. Actually, it's kind of spring-loaded in here.
Yeah, no, they did a better job of actually setting that so that you can reach it, as opposed to Ruger's.
Overall, at the range, I think when you shoot it like carefully, like you would a bolt-action rifle, it shoots very accurately.
Surprisingly accurately, especially at 100 yards.
And so that brings us to the controversy, right?
Yeah, right.
So the 17 HMR is sometimes referred to as the rich man's 22.
Yeah.
right? And
well, for good reason. Let's talk about the cost real quick. We're talking about probably 20 to 25 cents a round, best case scenario. Most cases you're looking at probably 50 cents a round for 17 HMR versus our 22, which you're looking at about maybe 5 cents a round.
what I like about it is I can zero this at 100 yards and shoot it at 50 yards. Like I can take this as a woods gun out into the woods and shoot a squirrel 20 yards away, 50 yards away, 100 yards away.
Yeah.
And with this scope out to 250 yards away. I mean, I don't know about the drift and stuff. This gun, I can set it and kind of forget it. Whereas with a 22, if you're zeroed for 100 yards, you are not hitting what you're aiming at 50 yards or 25 yards.
Your standard round you're looking at is probably, let's just say, 1,200 feet per second, just because that's a little bit faster, and that's what a lot of manufacturers are doing now, because they cycle semi-autos better.
Right.
Your 17 HMR is going more than 1,000 feet per second
It's
faster.
going twice as fast, over twice as fast.
It should be going nearly twice as fast, if not more than twice as fast.
Well, if we're shooting 1250s,
I don't remember what the range
and
says.
the muzzle velocity on this is 2650.
Right.
That's over twice as fast. These vary. I mean, they're factory loads, right?
Yeah.
They varied a lot in terms of their muzzle velocity, but overall, it was consistent enough to be hitting generally on on the bullseye.
It was actually a lot more consistent than I expected from factory ammo.
Although I have heard in a whole thing from Hornady on their podcast that like all of the manufacturers bullets are made by CCI in the CCI factory, and that people are out there like, I like this one better than this one. It's like, nope, those are all made on the same line. Now I don't know about the A17s because they are supposed to be hotter and specifically for this gun. Things I don't like about this gun.
Cost of bullets.
The cost of bullets is definitely one of them.
To go out there plinking every day. Jeez.
Yeah, and we're gonna get to what I really like about it in a second. But the second thing is the trigger.
Yeah.
The trigger kind of sucks.
It does. Almost every factory trigger sucks.
But this trigger like really sucks. There's a lot of creep in the trigger, right? And it actually like you can't really feel it wiggle side to side. It does have that like AccuTrigger thing that's in here and whatnot, but like it just creeps and creeps, and then and you can kind of hear it because this is all hollow in here, right?
Yep.
And so it acts like a bell almost. And so like you have your ear protection on, and you're sort of in this muffled zone, and then your cheek goes up against the stock, and then that's all you hear is like bam.
Right? Yeah, no, that's a little bit annoying. And I mean how it pulls isn't terrible, but you're right. It's just it feels and sounds gritty.
Yes.
And a little bit too loose.
Right.
At least with the take up, the take up is awful.
Yeah. 100%.
And it feels a little too heavy on the trigger. But again, it is a factory trigger that we have done nothing to.
We had a couple jams at the ranch with this.
Yes, we did.
And normally I've had no jams, but according to Savage, the gun will run well dirty, but it won't run well dry, right?
Yeah.
However, I took this home after we were at the range, cleaned it. It was dirty, but not dry. So I cleaned it up real good, and it seems like there's nothing in here. Like it seems pretty ready to rock, but we've probably put 200 rounds prior to when we went out through this thing.
That's true.
And just went out and shot it, and so it did have a couple issues out there.
It is a little bit heavier than I would have expected from this kind of small gun.
Yeah.
But we do have the bull barrel on this.
And we have a bipod on it, which is not necessary. Like, you don't need that, but it actually does shoot really well with the bipod on it.
Right, so, absolutely. It's not necessarily something wrong with the gun, but I am so used to guns of this size in this general, at least, range of calibers, 22, being not the ones that you have this higher powered scope on.
Right.
Just I have just a red dot on mine, and it's a lot easier to acquire the target, a lot easier to shoot, and a lot of fun. With this, looking through the scope and then pulling the trigger and not having a massive kick, it's awesome, but it was also just a little bit more annoying because it's slowing me down from that kind of 22 style I'm used to.
All right, so a couple things I do really like. The bull barrel, this gun has never gotten hot.
Oh yeah, no, this thing stays nice and cool.
So that's really nice. And the other really cool thing that I like about it is when you combine the bipod with the bull barrel, it just stays on the target.
So steady.
So even though your trigger's being annoying and you're looking down at that target,
Yep.
it's staying where it is. You just gotta deal with that trigger squeeze, getting that right, and then
Yep.
and then you're good to go. The other thing which kind of blew my mind is, so the first gun that I ever bought, because I got into firearms to go hunting, right? Not for the purposes of just getting into shooting. Is I got a Mossberg 500, and it was a field shotgun.
Yep.
That was super, super, super light, right?
So light.
So light. And I put deer slugs in it and a slug barrel, and I went to go sight that thing in.
Right? Yeah.
How's it feel, Carl?
Nice. My God, that is so much lighter than mine. You really scared the shit out of that chipmunk. There's one scurrying across. I was gonna tell you, but I didn't want to make you jump.
All right, so for reference, we shot a bunch of 17 HMRs at this target.
Yep.
And then we shot my slug gun. So you can see the difference here.
Yeah.
Can you see which ones are the slugs? The projectiles are significantly different from each other.
A little bit.
And so the recoil is significantly different from each other.
Yeah. Remember that slug is essentially a 50 caliber round.
It's crazy. The kick on that gun is just bananas.
What I'm impressed with iron sights, that we both hit the target at 100 yards.
Yeah.
That was insane. So that's a really big
I've decided
plus.
that this one is my shot,
well, obviously,
and this one is your shot.
That's because you need to feel better about yourself, and I'm okay with you thinking that that was your shot.
This is definitely my shot. And the next gun I bought was a 30-aught.
Yeah.
So-
Remington 700.
Remington 700. Where are those bullets? All right, so these, just for comparison, this is a 17 HMR. This is a 30-06.
It's a little different.
That whole table shook.
That moved me.
You want to shoot one more, Carl?
Right, I do.
And so the next gun that I bought was a 22 after that. But with the 22, I wasn't trying to get that level of accuracy downrange. And so when I bought this, this really helped me, because I got a flinch so bad that one time I was at a DEP range, and the range officer comes up to me and goes, "That is the worst flinch I have ever seen."
Right.
Ever. It was embarrassing, and it was horrible.
One of those almost looked like you sneezed kind of thing.
Right. And so this gun,
Oh, God.
just practicing shooting accurate downrange, helped me completely get rid of that, right? And you're like, yes, I still do dry firing and things like that, right, that are going to help with that. But just being able to keep an eye on a target, and when after I pull the trigger, I know if I stayed on target, because I can see at a 12x zoom downrange, are my crosshairs still on the target, right? And there's no recoil.
Right.
No recoil.
That's what makes it fun. That's what makes you want to keep shooting.
What I would use this gun for, right, is target practice, right? which is what I use it for all the time right now.
Yeah,
this is like my
so much
target practice gun.
It's a great
It's
gun.
really fun to just go out and practice. And usually I'll start on this, make sure my form is good, and then I'll move to a higher caliber.
No,
right?
that's an excellent thing to do. Absolutely.
And then the second thing is this is a squirrel groundhog gun.
If you go squirrel hunting with this, make sure the squirrels are on the ground, for the love of God. Because just like with anything, if you're hunting and you're shooting up in the air, the bullet will continue in its trajectory. With this bullet going 2,600 feet per second, it's going to go a really long distance, especially depending on how angled you are.
Right.
That's why if you're squirrel hunting, this is still a great gun for actually killing the squirrel. But just in case you're not the most perfect shot in the world, a 410 might be a little bit better.
Yeah. And I will say, I have gone hunting with people, squirrel hunting, with someone who had one of these, and they sort of just made a rule that, like, if the squirrel doesn't have something behind it, right? So if the squirrel's going up a trunk, right, it's kind of hard to miss, like, a whole tree trunk. Hopefully you don't.
Right.
Right? But, like, or just have something behind it, and then that way you're making sure you're being safe with the gun.
Right. Just
have a backstop of some kind, whether it's the ground, a tree, something.
Always good things to remember.
You don't want to just send it. That would be bad.
Yeah, that's good advice for all guns.
Yes, for all guns. Don't just send it.
Yeah. Make sure you know what your backstop is.
Right. I have heard that you can actually take all the way up to a coyote with this at under 100 yards.
Yes.
Right? And so when we went out and shot this, right, we went out and we shot this at jugs of water, and the difference between these two bullets, right, between a 17 HMR and a 22, it was crazy.
22 hollow point also.
Yeah, this is a hollow point.
Holy crap.
Wow. That is just destroyed on every level. So it absorbed everything.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can, is that a piece of it? That looked like metal, yeah.
This is all pieces of it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, look at that.
Completely shredded.
It just went to pieces in there and it absorbed all of it.
I'm surprised that not even just like a piece
not
of...
even
oh, ow, feel that.
Bit. Oh yeah, there's an indent there. Oh, that's crazy.
So the core must have gone through.
Yeah. All right, time for the 22.
Nice.
I think that was a little to the left.
Oh, maybe not. You hit it center.
Right here.
It
So I
just
did.
went through at an angle.
Yeah, it spun it around, and then it went straight through that as well.
No big exit hole.
I don't know.
No, I said no big exit hole.
Oh, big exit. Yeah.
So
I went through at least two.
yeah.
The fact that it went through too with no enormous blowout like that.
Right.
I mean, it probably didn't go too much farther. Did we talk about how much this generally costs?
You know, it's probably changed.
Well, yeah,
I
just
will
like
say,
rough
I
numbers-ish.
think I paid, like, I want to say I paid almost $400 for it.
Okay, so it's going to be about the same as a 1022.
Yeah, and
Maybe a little bit
I
more
think I
expensive.
might have paid a little bit extra for the bull barrel. I think it was like an extra like $40 for the bull barrel.
All right, so we're talking maybe, let's say $100 more on average-ish than your standard 1022.
Right.
22 equivalent for those of you who are not familiar with Ruger's 1022. So that's really not that much more expensive for the gun.
It's not, but it also doesn't have sights on it, so you have to buy a scope.
You do have to buy a scope,
Right.
which is a bit annoying.
Yeah, and so this gun, I don't remember exactly how much the scope cost. It was less than the gun.
Yeah.
I have found, like, a lot of people will tell you that you need to get you should pay as much for your optics as you pay for your gun.
Yeah.
Optics have gotten so much better than they used to be that there's really no reason to do that anymore. Like, I feel like if you pay between half and 2/3 as much, you're definitely in the range of being able to, like, use the gun proficiently with the scope that you have on.
Well, it also comes down to what you actually want to use it for.
Right.
Right, so I'm not going to get some stupid, really cheap sight that doesn't do great at night or doesn't do great at dusk and dawn if I'm going to go hunting.
Right.
Because that would be just ridiculous.
It would be.
But at the same time, I'm not going to spend $5,000 on a scope with all I'm doing is plinking or target shooting at 100 yards.
Right. And I did save on so this CV Life bipod, right, was only like $25.
Right.
Right. And so like compared to like I'll put it like a Harris bipod on my large game hunting rifles to go not necessarily like bring out into the field, but for practicing and like depending on the use of what I'm going to do with it. So, but with this, I was like, I don't need to spend a lot of money on it. It's just there to help me at the range to kind of mess around with.
Yeah, especially if you go to a club that doesn't have stands for you or anything like that. Bipods are awesome. I used to think that they were just a little bit more ridiculous because who the heck would really use this?
Thanks, Carl.
Well, no problem, Scott. I'm here to help. Mostly because he would get it for his 22.
I literally took the one off the 22. Okay, I had a tricked out 22.
Yeah.
You have to admit, that thing had everything
Yeah,
on it.
I was like, dude, why?
It's so
would you do
unnecessary.
this?
Anyway, it's back down to bare bones, basically, other than the upgrades on the inside.
Right.
But, yeah, I took it off of that because I was like, I'm not going to go buy another one. Like, I have one, and there's no reason for it.
But after I put, and I was always the proponent of using, because I'm more target shooting, so I would use the stands at the range.
Right.
Sometimes they weren't really available, sometimes they didn't really fit where I was going, and where, whatever, and I got a bipod and I absolutely love it. So if you're doing long-range target shooting at the very least, get a cheap bipod.
Right.
One that will be steady and one that maybe you don't have to worry about being so heavy or not.
If I was going to take this on a multi-day, like, squirrel expedition, I would take this bipod off.
Right.
Because I don't want the extra weight.
Yeah,
I'm going to put a sling on it, I'm going to take the bipod off.
Yeah.
It depends on what you want to do with it. Thank you for watching this episode of Wild Generation. If you want to see the rest of these videos as we go through my collection, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Say bye, Carl.
Bye, Carl.
Oh, that's going on the internet.